jump right in with Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post. Patrick, go ahead.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good.
Can you just give us an overview, your thoughts, a little over halfway through spring training? How have you felt? How do you believe you performed at this point?
I mean, first and foremost, I feel great. It's been a good camp. I feel like I checked a lot of boxes early, kind of. There was a lot of. I didn't play last year, really. I didn't play in games, and really the year before that, and obviously, kind of how the story goes. So, just getting that game action back. I needed it. I needed it for a lot of reasons. I needed to just be exposed to it. So, early, I don't think the results were there. Like, the timing was off, but there were a lot of good signs for me, and I just kind of rode those out and stuck with the plan. So, as of late, it has felt better. Obviously, there's been more results, and that's always nice. But for me, you and I talked about it. Really, just sticking to the plan's been the biggest goal of mine. Trusting the process, getting to know the guys, getting to know the coaches, letting them get to know me, be a good example for people, and enjoy it. So far, that's been a success, and it's been a good camp.
A lot of veteran players don't really worry at all about performance in camp. They go into it working on things, timing, whatever. But you're in a situation where you have to make the team. Do you feel like from this point going forward, the results are going to matter for you in Cactus League games, or do you think the coaches, scouts, etc., have seen enough of what your talent that the results on the field aren't going to matter that much?
Results always matter. No one comes here to get out. I mean, no one goes up to hit to get out. And they're always going to matter. I don't think you've ever showed enough, right? So you're always kind of chasing that. But like I said, it's baseball is a long-term game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You know what I mean? So there's a long-term plan in place for me, and I bought into it, and I just believe in it, and so I take each day, make the most out of it, learn something from it, and move on. I don't think they've seen the best of me yet. I think there's a lot more in there. So, but at the end of the day, like I know what I put in. And that's all that means everything to me. Whatever they see or want to see or don't want to see is their choice, and it doesn't affect who I am.
One more question, I'll let somebody else jump in. You were with the Yankees. So you've seen a lot of talent in your years in the majors. What do you think of the talent that you've seen in this camp from your fellow Rockies players? A lot of young players. I'm curious what your take is.
It's a young group, but there's talent there, and there's ability there, and there's hunger there, like there's a lot of opportunity, and it's like figuring out how to guide it. You know what I mean? Figuring out how to help, figuring out how to be there, just figuring out things. And it's fun to see. I think like I when you're younger and coming up, it's so fast. And then once everything somewhat becomes normal, you're able to look and watch and you remember that place. And I always made it a point, like I always had a lot of good veterans to lean on. And I always made it a point that if I ever had an opportunity to be that for someone, I would be. So I'm not saying I'm a veteran by any means. I think I have a lot of experience to share, and I'm willing to share it. And it's just cool to see that hunger and see the ability. And I think it'll be cool to see it all play out and to see from start to finish where these guys end up. And that's kind of the rewarding part of that.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I'm starting. Go ahead.
Greg, as you said yesterday, you're not old by any means, but are you in a way surprised that you show up at a place with a team, so many young guys, that you are kind of seen as a veteran at this point? Was that a bit of a surprise to you, or or is it odd that at this point in your career, people are leaning on you for experience? That's got to be cool, doesn't it?
Like I said, I always thought it was cool to be around older guys my whole life, going back to even when I was a kid. And so, like I said, if I had the opportunity, that's something that I wanted to do and be a part of. The only thing that I looked at coming here was actually the age of the team, just to you can kind of get an idea of where everyone's at. Like, baseball's a small world, so obviously I know things that go on. Through some of the years, I didn't pay as close attention because it was hard, but it's just a small world. So that's really the only thing I looked at, and definitely something I was looking forward to, though. So it's been good.
Where is this team on that scale? I've heard a lot of guys that have been around the game. There is kind of a scale of when you're young, things that matter, and as you grow in this game, the things that end up mattering. Where is this team now? Where do you think it could be, or what do you think it could become this season?
Well, so I think obviously the longer that time goes by from like a certain age, the more you forget and the more you're able to relate to that age group. So me being kind of where I'm at in the middle, like, I just feel like I have a lot of things to relate with as far as a lot of guys on this team go. I don't really have an answer to your question, if you guys can tell. I'm trying to figure it out as we go. It's a cool group. I think there's a lot of capability and growth that's going to happen. And you got guys who want to do it. Like, you got guys in there with great heads, great mindsets. You can just tell they're close. Like, I've had comments from clubhouse managers on the road saying, hey, the Rockies, they're one of my favorite groups. And those are the things to me that matter. How you treat people every day. Those are the things that you build a clubhouse around. And as much as we get caught up in highlights and contracts and certain things, like, there's still something sacred about the clubhouse and how much that plays into having a good team. It's not all about wins above replacement and those sort of things. It's about you having your teammates back. You know what I mean? You going up when he's going up to bat, I'm in a way with him there. When my teammate's on the mound, I'm with him there, and he knows that. Like that, those are the things that if you can build that and you have talent, that's when great things happen. So you can definitely see some of those good things happening.
Did you see those things when you were coming up with the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, we grew up together, and in a lot of ways, just in baseball, you spend more time with your teammates than you do with anyone else during the course of a year. I think we forget that, right? Like, a lot of time and just a lot of stuff goes into every day here. So having that's where that clubhouse factor comes in. Like, if you got guys who are constantly butting heads, it's not even worth it. Even if they're a great player, like, it's just not worth it, and it doesn't lead to good things, right? Like, it's still a team game. It's an individual sport in a lot of ways, but it's still a team game. And when you got, I don't know, is it a 25-man roster or 26 or 28 or I don't know what it is, but when you got all those guys on the roster rooting for each other, that's more powerful than the best hitter going up by himself.
Yeah, it is 26, and on a 26-man roster, some guys can come off the bench and do things in the National League. How much have you prepared for a role? Having been an American League player, it seems that there could be more at bats for you, even if you don't start in the National.
I just prepare to play. I think when you try to specialize, it doesn't end well. I think you just have to be prepared for anything. So that's the simplified version, and I always try to get to the simplified version. So for me, if there's an opportunity, it's an opportunity, and you take it and you make the most of it, whether it's starting, coming off the bench, whatever it is, playing defense, or if you're just sitting there rooting on the guys. or if someone wants to talk, or if there's so many ways you can impact a game.
Hey, thanks, Greg.
Yep.
I'll go to Kevin Henry, and then we'll finish up back with Patrick. Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, Greg, thanks for the time. Wanted to follow up on something Patrick asked you, and you said you talked about some of the guys with the Yankees that you used to lean on whenever you were coming up. Can you talk about maybe who a couple of those guys were and some of the lessons you learned then that move forward with you now?
I mean, there's a lot of them, like good times for sure. There's a lot of them, so I'm not going to get to them all. I mean, for sure, a couple that stand out. I mean, Gardy's one that I still talk to. So for me, Gardy's the like epitome of hard work and a baseball player, you know, like taking the opportunities. That's one thing he still says to me. It's always there's a few things. One thing that he always says is an opportunity. Just take the opportunity and make the most of it. That's all you can do, right? And that's always stood out to me. Like he's very he's very selective with words sometimes, unless he's mad. But those little things have always just stood out to me. Like his work ethic. What veteran guys see is impressive. It impressed me early on. They're watching. They're always watching. How they go about their business. Like that's what I feel like I was very lucky to experience, was coming up and learning how to be a major league player, but a major league person, right? Like there's this attitude that like once you're in the big leagues, you're in the show, and I don't really like that. There's a way to go about your business and a way to take care of the people that take care of you every day. And if those things get overlooked, it's bad. They shouldn't be. And that's what I felt very lucky to learn there. Like, I think there's a little bit of a misconception there as far as that sort of thing goes. So Gardy's always been good to me. Chase Headley played for Buddy here. Well, not here, but in San Diego. Same thing with him. Just teaching me how to do it the right way. That's the thing that stands out the most to me with guys there. Like watching guys do it the right way. Watching CC pitch. Learning how to reinvent himself. How to work. Like there's so many things, and there's so many guys really that I'm really, really fortunate to have been around at the highest level and got to really hone in and watch them perform their craft.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Patrick, finish this up.
Yeah, Greg, just one more for you. You mentioned early on today that it took you a while to get your timing back. You feel like that's in a good spot, et cetera. For you specifically, when you talk about getting your timing back at the plate, what does that mean? Is that pitch recognition? Is it the mechanics of the swing? Is it the whole package? For you, what does that mean, getting your timing back?
It's a very simple term for a broad range of things. So I was explaining to someone, like I'm almost like a backwards worker. Like I've done so much rehab assignments, and you get 25 here and 20. Everything's on a deadline. Everything's on a time limit. Everything's on a you don't ever get to work in games. Like people forget that the work off the field before the game is important, but you learn in games. I think I learn what I need to work on through the game, right? High speed adjustment. I'm a big feel guy, so what I just feel in the game. Like early on, I was telling some people, like, what are you trying to feel? I'm just trying to figure out where and when and how I need to be everywhere, you know? And it's one thing to do it in a controlled environment in the off season. It's another thing to do it in a live game. Like there is something irreplaceable about a live game with a pitcher on a mound and an umpire behind you that you can't get anywhere else. You just can't. So no matter what you do, for me, I needed to be exposed to that because I just hadn't been. So timing, if you will, is a lot of different things. It's figuring out when and where I need to be where and how I need to get there and how it feels. So once I get that feeling and once I'm exposed to those inefficiencies in my swing or in my defense or on the bases, I can work on them in practice. And that's kind of how I shape my day. Like I want to be able to lock onto a feeling throughout the whole day that I know works in the game. And that's how I work. So it's challenging, but you just have to be exposed. And there's just a level to that I haven't had over the last few years. So I'm a quick learner, and things have come back nicely. And like I said, it's challenging. It's always going to be challenging to stick to the process, but I have been very pleased with that. And I think in the past I hadn't done as good of a job at that. So that was one of my main goals. So that to me is timing.
Excellent. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I think that's all the questions we